There is a pattern almost no one talks about. Two people face the same impossible situation. Both of them pray. One walks away with something changed. The other walks away with nothing. Same God, same Bible, same words, different result. The church calls this a mystery, but physics calls it something else. It calls it signal interference, and once you understand what that means, you will never pray the same way again. Most people treat prayer as a request sent to a distant God. Jesus treated prayer as a frequency alignment with the source of all creation. To understand why prayer works or fails, you first have to understand what you actually are. Quantum field theory shows us that at the deepest fundamental level, you are not just solid matter moving through an empty universe. You are a system of energy and fields, constantly emitting, constantly receiving, constantly interacting with the environment around you. Your thoughts are not invisible. They are electrochemical signals that produce measurable electromagnetic fields outside your body. Your emotions are not just feelings, they are frequencies, measurable patterns of coherence or incoherence, radiating from your heart and nervous system. The HeartMath Institute has demonstrated that the electromagnetic field of the human heart extends several feet outside the body and changes measurably based on emotional state. Fear, anxiety, and doubt produce incoherent, fragmented signals. Gratitude, love, and certainty produce coherent, ordered signals. The field you emit is not neutral. It is either broadcasting coherence or broadcasting noise. Now here is what this means for prayer. When you pray from a state of anxiety, rehearsing the problem, narrating the fear, begging from a place of scarcity, your body is simultaneously broadcasting a signal of disorder. Your words say, "I believe." Your field says, "I am terrified this will not work." That split signal is not powerful prayer. That is interference, and interference cancels itself out. In wave physics, there is a principle called destructive interference. When two waves meet that are out of phase, one moving up while the other moves down, they do not add together, they cancel each other. The result is silence, flatness, nothing. This is not a metaphor, this is measurable, this is repeatable, this is law. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. James was not writing poetry, he was describing wave physics, 2,000 years before the instruments existed to measure it. A double-minded person, someone whose mouth says one thing, while their body broadcasts another, is not sending a weak prayer. They are sending a self-canceling signal. The words go up, the fear pulls them down, the faith reaches forward, the doubt collapses it inward. The result is not reduced power, the result is zero power. This is why so many believers pray for years, with no measurable change. Not because God is silent, but because the signal they are sending is canceling itself before it can form. Look at the pattern. Across every recorded prayer of Jesus, there is something consistent that almost every reader misses. He never prayed from fear. He never prayed from scarcity. He never prayed as if the outcome was uncertain to him. Watch it closely. Before raising Lazarus, he does not ask God to please consider bringing him back. He says, "Father, I thank you that you have heard me." Past tense. Before the miracle happened, he spoke, as if it was already complete. Physics shows us that interaction changes reality at the fundamental level. Jesus was not just observing the world, he was interacting with it at its deepest fabric. He was not performing a ritual. He was aligning his internal state with the reality he intended to call forth. He became coherent with the outcome before the outcome existed in the physical world. This is why he told his disciples, "Whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." Not believe that you might receive it. Not believe that God is capable of giving it. Believe that you have received it. Present tense. Already done. Internal state aligned with the completed reality. That is not wishful thinking. That is coherent signal generation. There is one moment in the prayer life of Jesus that seems to contradict everything said so far. Gethsemane. The night before the crucifixion, he is on the ground. His sweat becomes like drops of blood, a real physiological condition called hematidrosis, triggered by extreme psychological distress. He says, "Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me." This sounds like doubt. This sounds like fear. This sounds like the opposite of coherent prayer. But watch what happens next. He does not stay there. Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. That word. Nevertheless, it is the most important word in the prayer. It is the moment of realignment. He acknowledged the full weight of what he was facing. He did not suppress it. He did not perform false peace. And then, he made a deliberate choice to reorient his frequency back to alignment with the Father. This is not weakness. This is the most sophisticated act of frequency mastery in recorded history. He felt the full force of disorder and chose coherence anyway. After Gethsemane, he walks to his arrest with complete composure. The fear did not win. The realignment held. Let's be precise. There are 3 specific patterns that generate destructive interference in prayer. The first is praying from the problem instead of from the solution. When you begin with how bad the situation is, how long it has lasted, how impossible it looks, how tired you are, you're loading your signal with the frequency of the problem. You are transmitting disorder and calling it faith. The second is praying with your mouth while your body broadcasts something else. Your nervous system does not lie. If your breathing is shallow, your posture collapsed, your chest tight, your body is already praying a different prayer than your words. And the body's signal is stronger than language. Studies on heart rate variability show that the physiological state of the body during prayer determines measurable outcomes in cellular function, immune response, and stress hormone levels. The internal state is not separate from the prayer. It is part of the signal being generated. The third is canceling the prayer immediately after. You pray with intention. Then you walk away and say, "I don't know if that's going to work. It feels too big." Nothing ever changes. That is destructive interference, applied retroactively. You built the wave and then collapsed it yourself. Before you pray, stop. Breathe. Let the nervous system settle. Let the body come into coherence first. Begin with gratitude, not as a warm-up exercise, as a coherence generator. Load the frequency of what is already true, already good, already working. Then speak the reality you intend, not the problem you have. Not, "God, please heal this sickness," but, "I am healed. I receive wholeness now." Not, "God, I need provision. Things are desperate, but I am provided for. Abundance is my reality." Not, "Please change this situation," but, "This situation is already shifting. I declare the outcome." And then, hold the frequency after you pray. Do not cancel it with doubt language. Do not rehearse the problem. To everyone you meet, do not narrate the impossibility. What you keep broadcasting after the prayer is part of the prayer. Jesus was not teaching people how to talk to God from a distance. He was teaching people how to become coherent with God. Not separated, begging across a void, but aligned, operating from the same frequency as the source of creation. That is what "in my name" means. Not a password, a frequency. Prayer does not fail because God does not answer. Prayer fails when the signal collapses before it forms. When the mouth says yes and the body says no. When the words go up and the fear pulls them down. When the wave is built and immediately cancelled. But a coherent prayer, spoken from stillness, loaded with gratitude, aligned with the reality you intend, held without cancellation, that is not a request sent into silence. That is a frequency, strong enough to reorganize matter. That is what Jesus did, and that is what he said you could do too. Welcome back to the mechanics of faith.